Growing up in a state like Nebraska, you start to notice and cherish little things the state has to offer. So the beautiful Nebraska sunsets, the days spent out in the lake, us Nebraskans really understand little things. But a lot of those things that we cherish go hand in hand with nature. Those things are at risk, not just in our state, but in the entire world. We need to talk about conserving wildlife, not just for ourselves, but for the entire planet. According to an article by Environmental Science, conservation is a broad approach to preserving what is already there and the due care and attention to protecting it for the future. Pretty broad topic that can be applied to anything, but there are three main areas that conservation covers: cultural heritage, ecology, and resource conservation. But the one that needs more attention is conserving the ecological parts of our world. The main part of ecological conservation is about preserving biodiversity and managing ecosystems. The world is made up of many different types of species, and those species live in unique ecosystems. Species extinction is one of the biggest threats to Earth's biodiversity. In efforts to conserve biodiversity, scientists are studying the losses in ecosystems and why they are happening so we can make changes to restore the biodiversity on this planet. Humans have changed many different parts of the Earth's ecosystems, mainly through destroying habitats for all different types of species. Since we are one of the main causes of the loss of biodiversity, conservation efforts have to start with the human race. There are two main reasons that the Earth needs biodiversity. One is to create balance between all parts of the planet, and the second is that we rely so heavily on nature in order to survive. Firstly, we'll talk about why nature needs nature. According to wildliferisk.org, every organism has a place to create a balanced ecosystem. So imagine a single species that can be anything from a tiger to a single type of plant like grass. That one species is tied to all other species in the ecosystem in which they live. Everything provides food for other species, and everything is dependent on one another. You lose biodiversity, which in turn can cause other species to go extinct. Habitat destruction can happen by forcing other animals to find food in other species, which affects the whole habitat. This connects us back to the main point. Everything needs everything to survive and thrive on this planet. It isn't limited to a species going extinct. The same thing happens, just at a lower extent, when a species is endangered, which includes many different animals all over the world. Say all animals go extinct, the results would be catastrophic. But the threats don't stop there. Our way of living will be greatly affected. As stated before, humans are the cause of many reasons the planet is losing biodiversity. But the problem is that many people aren't too concerned with the effect that complete extinction would have on us as people. Humans rely on nature for food, clean water, medicines for illness, and oxygen so we can breathe. Not just allowing us to survive in the world, nature provides beauty. With all the plants and animals, we might be living in a world that is full of despair. Death and destruction are what we bring with us, so conservation is a must to restore the balance before it's too late. It's hard to focus on the whole world when it's hard enough to think about an entire state homing many different species. As Nebraskans, the best way to start is to focus on what is unique to our state and why we should care, especially to keep having our beloved lake days. Let's go into depth about all the aspects of nature our state has to offer. The main landscapes that are housed here in Nebraska include wetlands that are along the rivers and streams, grasslands, forests, and sandhills. The wetlands house more than 300 species of birds. There are 3 types of grasslands: tall, mixed, and short. They are rich with birds and other wildlife, including the herds of bison that roam across the state. The forest areas are scattered by the Missouri River and hold cottonwood, elm, box elder, and willow trees. The sandhills are one of the most commonly known places in Nebraska. It covers more than 19,000 square miles and is home to some rare prairie birds. According to A to Z Animals, the entire state houses 80 species of mammals, 63 species of reptiles and amphibians, 22 types of fish, and more than 400 different birds. All of these species are unique in the fact that they vary in type, habitat, and diet. A lot of these native species are endangered, vulnerable, or near threatened. Our state isn't exempt from conservation efforts. Even we can play a major role in stabilizing the biodiversity on Earth. So what is threatening the wildlife in our state? According to an article on landscape.org, the primary threats are the same as other states in the United States. Things like habitat loss, alteration to important ecological processes, and the invasion of exotic species. let's go into specifics of what humans can change to preserve nature. Nebraska is known as a farming state, but that title has caused a lot of habitat loss for some of our native species. We convert prairie grasslands into more farmland to plant more and more crops. Along with the idea of farming comes irrigation. As we pump the surface and groundwater, we are stealing from nature, which greatly impacts the species that live in wetland areas. The exotic species that might catch rides with humans have reduced the state's native plant diversity. One of the main things that affects all nature, not just in our state, is climate change. We are also feeling the effects of climate change in our state, and it's already greatly affecting the state's wildlife. Conservation is all about removing and/or reducing factors that threaten biodiversity. It even goes all the way to protecting and restoring habitats. There are some things that we citizens can do to help slow and stop the threat to nature. We can support efforts to help the climate crisis. Things like converting to greener energy and limiting the amount of greenhouse gases that we use in our day-to-day lives can bring about positive effects. Spreading the word to help people see the need for nature and to help bring knowledge about the issues at hand can also be a beneficial way to help nature. We can start to focus on planet-friendly investments that will keep nature safe, like buying more sustainable goods. Recycling things that can be recycled will help us use less resources, and donating things that can be reused keeps things out of our landfills. One of the main ways that we can help to fight for nature is to follow politics and put pressure on our politicians to make laws that will help nature out. We can't change laws and create new ones, but they can. Even if every one of us just does one thing on this list of things, we can make our planet a better place to live, not just for us, but for the wildlife that lives here too. Let's cherish all the beautiful aspects that Nebraska has to offer and work to make sure we never lose those parts that make our state so special.